How you doing, bud? Good to see you.
Go from there. Okay, I'm not prepared. All right. Everybody ready? Is the camera up? Okay. Look at this. Ready to go. All right, I would like to call to order the Glendale Beach Town Council work session Wednesday, March 3rd, 2021 at 6:01 p.m. Roll call of members. So this way, Duggan.
Here.
Montier.
Here.
Robertson. Here. Sullivan. Here. And Cabry.
Here.
And, of course, our vacancies with Mr. I. Approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? No? Sullivan.
Aye.
Cabry.
Aye.
Carl.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, first up, council member liaison and commission reports. This is an opportunity for those of you watching at home and those of you in the audience to hear each town council member's liaison position, any updates from their departments on the work that they've been doing. Karen, I know you're the longest. I'm gonna say you for last.
Okay.
All right, Cal?
No report.
Okay, we did meet
Yeah,
though
we did meet.
with Lisa and reviewed revenue and expenditures to date to make sure we were on track with the current budget and forecasting for as we go forward towards the end of the fiscal year. And that was very good. Sorry, Drew. I just want to let everybody know what they about that. Okay, Marcus?
Oh, there are two matters I need to bring to your attention. Rob and I have discussed these matters very briefly, so I'll rely on him either to correct or amplify as appropriate. First, as your liaison for Public Works, I'm happy to get familiar with a new set of acronyms. One of them is PER, Preliminary Engineering Report, an engineering standard which is essentially a 20-year plan or template into which we then phase specific projects for upgrades and improvements. We have finished the existing 20-year plan and so need another one going forward. This will require us to fund outside engineering consulting, and I will be suggesting that this plan to manage stormwater and utilities should enjoy our highest priority in the coming budget. Solving these well-identified problems will require both an immediate and long-term commitment to implement various phases of the plan. Second, we will also be considering funding for replacement for our jet vacuum truck this evening. Apparently, our existing truck had a blown engine. Unless caused by metal fatigue, something in the nature of a crack in the block or a broken rod, a properly maintained and properly operated engine can last indefinitely. I'm not sure what happened. I'm not sure we will ever know. But whether a catastrophic metal failure or a failure to repair or a failure to perform regularly scheduled maintenance or a failure to operate properly, we are now in the position of having to consider the replacement of one of our most expensive pieces of equipment. In the exercise of our fiduciary duties, we also have an obligation to ascertain what happened. If systemic deficiencies contributed to this failure, then I am concerned that any such deficiencies may exist for the rest of our vehicles and need to be corrected immediately. Assuming your concurrence, and I don't know that we need a motion, but head nodding should be sufficient. I will endeavor to take a detailed look at vehicle maintenance and operation and report back to you at our next meeting. And Rob, I trust that I will enjoy, or that you will advise Public Works staff that this matter enjoys council's high priority. But in the good news category, we have a new operations manager who has been in that position about 2 months, and by all appearances is doing an excellent job. So I'm hoping that my report will simply be that whatever problems existed in the past have been identified and that solutions are being put in place. Thank you.
I think that's a great idea.
I do love the presentation.
Ms. Robinson?
Very briefly, the school board met last week and presented a budget for the 21-22 school year. School years go from July 1 to June 30th. So that was just their preliminary putting it out there, and then they'll start tweaking it along with us, working with them.
Yeah, I think they're trying to schedule a meeting with you and I, Vicki,
Yeah.
in the next 2 weeks.
Okay, that can work.
I don't have a date yet.
Yeah, I haven't, I talked to them briefly yesterday, I think, but I hadn't had anything at that point.
Okay. All right, good.
All right, for the planning commission, commission met on the 25th of February, and the first order of business was the review of the comprehensive plan timeline. Planning zone administrator completed much of the work in terms of organizing the document, still with lots left to put in from Northern Net based on their comments. we want to make sure that it's finalized in a format that meets the requirements for any kind of grant funding that we might be eligible for in the future. So with that in mind, the administrator has sent forward the comp plan along with Northern Net Planning District comments to 2 potential sources to help us with this, to receive quotes or estimates on what it would cost for them to help us in a professional manner get this to the finish line, so to speak. So that was accomplished, and then conducted a review of the capital improvement plan list, and the commission evaluated the list to ensure that it was aligned with the town council's priority list. There's still items that require at least an estimated cost, and so Nathan Howe is going to be working with staff members to get those costs. He'll come see you, Rob, with a few things. One of the discussion points, and this leads to what you just described, Tom, is with stormwater management being such a high priority, is identifying it in terms of phases and then assigning some type of a cost estimate by phase that would allow us to program for that accordingly. So Nathan will be coming to look to get some more details on that, Rob. Let's see. They adopted the new bylaw, and the reason why they had to adopt a new bylaw, they wanted to add the same verbiage that we did for our bylaws with regarding electronic meetings. That was the only main thing that was done for that. They voted and approved on the annual report, which was completed by the commission chair, Ms. Luna, and that's basically a summary, a synopsis of all of the planning commission meetings throughout the last year. That has been completed, it was approved, and it is posted on the town website under the planning commission homepage. So it's right there. Double check that you can get on it and open it up and look and see the record of all the meetings. Lastly, the commission voted on the chair and vice chair positions for the next year. Ms. Luna will remain as the chair, unanimously approved, and then Mr. Howell, Nathan Howell, will be the vice chair going forward for the next year. Not related to planning commission, but just an update on the clinic and vaccines. As of today, well over 600 vaccines now provided to Colonial Beach and residents of Westmoreland County. The clinic is still receiving names from the Three Rivers list. Three Rivers is sending them those names. The good news is, with those names, additional names, they're sending the volume of vaccines for that as well. And I think Colonial Beach is doing very well in terms of the number of people that are receiving the vaccines. We're getting plenty of help from volunteers still. As I told you before the meeting, Dahlgren has coordinated with us to send over about 9 of their sailors to help us out on Saturday, and they're excited to assist the town in doing that. So I think good news all around on that. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Okay.
Hi, I'm reporting tonight on acting liaison for the new Parks and Rec Commission, as well as the NGO. So I'll start with the Parks and Rec Commission. The Colonial Beach Parks and Rec Advisory Commission held its organizational meeting last night, Tuesday, March 2nd, at 5 p.m. at Town Hall. The meeting was broadcast live on the town's YouTube channel, and a recorded version is archived on the channel. 3 of the appointed members of the 4 appointed members were present: Karen Grisovich, Steve Kennedy, and Cody Christensen. Melinda Godrow was unable to attend the meeting. The commission decided to elect temporary officers until all seats on the commission are filled. Karen Grisovich will serve as chair, Steve Kennedy as vice chair, Cody Christensen as secretary. Our town clerk, Heather Oliver, will agree to be the town staff liaison until the Parks and Rec administrator is hired. Additional decisions. The bylaw shall incorporate Town Code Chapter 2, Article 9, and be modeled after the Planning Commission bylaws. Mr. Christensen will produce a first draft to be considered at the next meeting. Members unanimously recommend that Eileen Heath and Philip S. Esmasher be appointed to the commission by council. Knowing that there is only 1 vacant seat at this time, the commission feels strongly that both of these individuals should be appointed and therefore recommends that the Parks and Rec Commission seats be increased to 7. This request is based on an understanding that the commission, as established, does not allow for a non-voting member, and that commission should have an odd number of members. The commission clarified their role as a commission is to serve
as a liaison between the town council, the Department of Parks and Recreation, and the town of Colonial Beach citizens to make recommendations on the development of policies, funding, and programs to serve the recreational needs and enrichments of the citizens. This is exactly as is defined in the new Town Code Chapter 2, Article 9. Regular meetings will be held at 6 o'clock on the first Tuesday of each month at Town Center and will be broadcast live on the town's YouTube channel and recorded there. Any questions that you all have about the Parks and Rec?
You think we can add that to the regular, meeting agenda, the appointments?
I think we should.
No, go ahead.
So I just wanted to make a little statement about NGOs because I've done a little homework in the comp plan. And NGOs are a prominent aspect of our town's comp plan. According to the new draft, the town and NGOs must work together to achieve many of the goals of the comprehensive plan. In fact, the Alliance of Colonial Beach Community Organizations is actively working on Objective 1, Goal B3 to develop a coordinated system of information sharing to promote events and activities between various town, NGOs, and media websites. There are many other examples in the comp plan's goals and objectives. And for every one that I listed in my formal report, I can name at least one of the NGOs that's taking a major role in making that happen. I also have a report from through the Alliance. Let's see, before I get to that, the Chamber of Commerce will be making their own presentation tonight, so I'm not providing a report from them.
Okay.
Through the Alliance of Colonial Beach Community Organizations had a planning and prioritization meeting on the 10th of February, and their regular meeting was held on the 16th. The team began to process the setting up of priorities for the group. They started with a discussion about what to call themselves. This group's been meeting for well over a year and working together, but they needed to come up with a name. So they've come up with the Alliance of Colonial Beach Community Organizations. They are currently reintroducing themselves to the community, and that was made a priority. And so they have created a Facebook page, and they are working on a website in which people will be able to both register to volunteer and list events and things. The Alliance is a coalition of non-governmental and charitable organizations. They simply bring together groups that work in collaboration with the town and the community to enhance the quality of life here. They brainstorm ideas, share information and resources, coordinate events and activities, and create unified systems that benefit participants. There are currently 19 participants, and they work in collaboration with the town council, town commissions, and the town's marketing firm, Black Shack. I have a report through them from the Colonial Beach Community Foundation. As part of the response to the community's need related to COVID-19, the Colonial Beach Community Foundation continues to support local food pantries and with grocery store gift cards. These cards enable recipients to purchase items that the food pantries cannot provide. The foundation has made the community center available to be used for the administration of the COVID-19 vaccinations being given by the Guadalupe Clinic, which provides us with much more logistically convenient location. One of their priorities is town-wide Wi-Fi. They're working with the Chamber's Economic Development Committee on this, and they have a complementary effort underway to bring higher bandwidth broadband communications for the businesses in town. The foundation continues to evaluate its other two priority items, including transitioning to a future new community center and working on attracting medical facilities to town. They have begun a collaboration with Beach to Beer, an annual project promoting runners and beer. The organization approached the foundation to be its lead charitable sponsor. The first event will take place in October of 2021. And the foundation has launched a new committee to develop a program to welcome newcomers to town. It has just begun plans that include preparing flyers and other information to give new residents at regular meetups in town. Downtown Colonial Beach is busy as ever. They produced a very nice workshop on accessing tax credits for rehabilitating historic properties. This workshop went into which properties would be eligible and how to avoid pitfalls. This workshop was recorded and is accessible on the Downtown Colonial Beach Facebook site and on a YouTube channel. There's a link there. They have prepared a grant for the forestry department for tree planting and landscaping on Colonial Avenue and shade trees along the boardwalk. This was actually submitted last week, I think, in time for the deadline.
Yeah, you're getting ahead of me. I was gonna announce
Okay.
about
Okay. Let's see, and the town, did the final, preparation, submitted the grant. The Osprey Festival proceeds, Downtown Colonial Beach will use those to augment what the forestry department is able to do for us. Designs will be developed in a conjunction with the UVA Greenlands class. And they will also be working with property owners to identify where the best sites are for the trees. As part of its affiliates grant for filling downtown storefronts with new retail, Downtown Colonial Beach conducted and compiled a survey of what the townspeople felt would be good retail establishments to attract to town. They had over 100 responses. And the virtual Osprey Festival will be released soon, probably within the next 2 weeks. And our final report came from WWER, our community radio station at 88.1. We are Colonial Beach is their tagline. They would like to do more reports about town council activities. They hope to work out with council to air meeting synopsis or decision-making discussions to show each month, and hope that a member of council would be willing to record a short segment and send it to WWER for broadcast. They are always open to discussions about how to help in our transparency and communication goals. And that concludes my report.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna send Tom to WWER next. Okay, Tom, to the radio station. I'm sending you to the radio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm proud you can be after Tom. Since we do not have liaison for emergency services at this moment, I did get an update from the police chief on the end of the year stats, and I'm hoping you guys can do a presentation maybe at the next meeting. Okay, that'll be excellent. I'm gonna update you on RAFT. RAFT is the Resiliency Adaptation Feasibility Tool. It is a coalition of educational partners, OU, William and Mary, and UVA. And we are working on resiliency in town that has to deal with everything from shoreline erosion to infrastructure to emergency operations. And an update on that is that Karen's the Green Lands class is going to design site-specific green infrastructure interventions to the town this spring. The group will be continuing to liaison with an ODU Professor Tom Allen, who is now involved to support prioritization of shoreline management sites. In 2021, VIMS is going to prioritize Colonial Beach and shoreline erosion rate analysis work, which is great. That's the Virginia Institute of Marine Sciences. The group is also continuing to explore engineering support from ODU and CCRR for checklist items. And we will be creating a separate resiliency committee and are having conversations on what that looks like, how to advertise positions to fill the committee. And so hopefully in April, we'll start to have some framework of that. Other than that, I'd like to wish Betty Whitestone a happy 90th birthday. And I'd like to give you an update on our town manager search. Everybody's at the edge of the seat for that. At our next regular meeting, we will begin our meeting early, and the Berkeley group will be here to present the first look at a pool of applicants. So that is moving forward. So in 2 weeks. So you guys get your calendars. All right. Okay. That's all I have. Are there any other reports? Oh, okay. Presentations, Mr. Smith. Rob, would you like to introduce Mr. Smith?
Yes, this is Matt Smith. He is the town's GIS analyst and our guru in the area. He's been quite an addition to our organization. We are so happy he's here. Please see some of his work.
Yep. Thank you. So as Rob introduced me, I'm Matt Smith, and I'm the Geographic Information Systems Technician here at the town. And tonight I'm just presenting an overview of what GIS is and some of the work that's been done. And just for a small presentation outline, just a small introduction, just a brief town overview and what GIS is and its benefits. GIS and how it fits in with the concept of smart cities, and just a brief mission and vision statement. And then I have a small maps exhibit just showcasing 4 maps that we've done. And then I'll talk about 2 projects that we've done. And then just conclusion, some next steps, and just some concluding quotes about GIS and geography. Okay. So just for a brief town overview, the town of Colonial Beach is located on the lower Potomac River, roughly 65 miles from Washington, D.C. and Richmond, PA, just south of Dahlgren Naval Weapons Center. It's a premier waterfront community and is home to various independent restaurants and B&Bs, and in the process of revitalizing critical infrastructure in the business district. And it is located on a peninsula and faced with many unique challenges, such as the effects of complex flooding events and dynamics of evolving shorelines. And so what is GIS? GIS stands for Geographic Information Systems. It's the technological approach to meet the mapping and spatial intelligence needs of the community, such as for water, sanitary, sewer, stormwater, traffic, and cadastral data. And it can be broken down into various categories, such as visualization and mapping, analytics, project design and planning, field mobility, sharing, collaboration, and monitoring. And just to give a small explanation of the map up there, it's just a heat map showing vehicle crashes from January 2013 to September 2020, and the data is from the Virginia Department of Transportation's Open Data Portal. And just some benefits to the organization. It helps us save resources and increase operational efficiency and can help us identify where critical infrastructure is failing and help explain why. And the benefits also reach the community as more efficient workflows and operations increase the overall quality of life and attractiveness of the town. And GIS's role in smart cities. A smart city is just a designation given to a city that incorporates information and communication technologies to enhance the quality and performances of urban services, such as energy, transportation, and utilities in order to reduce resource consumption, wastage, and overall cost. And GIS plays an integral role in the development of a smart city by providing data and producing visualization and analysis for key decision makers while maximizing full potential of the data that the town collects by recognizing spatial patterns and insights. And, you know, I just wrote a small vision and mission statement. The vision of the town of Colonial Beach GIS is to be one of the technological backbones of the town's operations and workflows to increase efficiency and to reduce operation costs and help the town work toward becoming a smart city. And the mission of the town of Colonial Beach GIS is to provide useful data and analysis for decision makers, increase transparency, and engage with the public, and to increase reliability. All right, and then just to showcase a few maps. This is one map that we've done. It's our sanitary sewer flow direction map. And we've collected flow directions from internal sources, and that helps in doing hydraulic analysis. And it also helps when there's a call comes in, it helps reduce the time that we don't need to investigate sanitary sewer network, that we have it right there on the map. And that GIS can also run various stats on features such as total lengths. And as seen on the slide, the total footage for the gravitary sanitary sewer lines is 141,887 feet, which is approximately 26.87 miles. And just 3 other maps, just with operational efficiency, I have our emergency snow removal routes that we did. So crews out in the field know the snow routes when they go out to plow. And just with different land information, I included the terrain model and that helps us show where high and low ground is and changes in elevation. And just for different reference maps, I put our refuse collection area map on there so that, you know, when we receive a call, we can just look at the map. So when a caller calls and asks what day is our trash pickup, we can just look at the map and tell them right when it is. And so different projects that we're working on is integration with Cityworks. In order to increase operational efficiency, we are integrating GIS with Cityworks, which is a work order and asset management software able to track the work being done to an asset and the associated costs. It can also generate reports and work summaries. We're in the beginning phases of implementation, and the images show the GIS portion of Cityworks and just a example work order template. And another project we're working on is field mobility with Collector, and Collector is a mobile GIS app. The data can be viewed on mobile devices, and using mobile devices, data can be created and recorded out in the field. Data that is taken can be brought back in the office immediately, where it can be reviewed and used for analysis. And just 2 example images of what it looks like on the screens of the devices. And just for conclusion, you know, the next steps is continuously develop our GIS databases with quality data. Developing our GIS is perpetual, as updates are always found in the field and there are new developments taking out in the town. And then the next step 2 would be to implement Cityworks and integrate with GIS, and that we have better communications with the public plan through GIS and Cityworks. And just some concluding quotes I found about GIS and geography, just knowing where things are and why is essential to rational decision making by Jack Dangermond. And also by Jack Dangermond, it's GIS is waking up to the world's the power of geography. This science of integration has the framework for creating a better future. And then Michael Palin also said that geography explains the past, illuminates the present, and prepares us for the future. And just an image credit where I got the Cityworks example select images.
Thank you, Matt. I know this is a unique opportunity for you to be in front of everybody, spend most of your days behind the computer.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you getting out in front of everybody and kind of introducing yourself and GIS and the work that you're doing, which is really important to the town. Are there any questions from council members?
I'm just really happy to see this here. I've worked with GIS in my academic career, and it's just miraculous what it can reveal.
The term smart city is a very important term. And I think that being a goal of our GIS technician is very smart of you, Matt. And I know like Fredericksburg is putting in a smart park right now, which is part of a smart city initiative. But using this kind of data integral to your utilities, which is really one of our big things to tackle is infrastructure, and making then good decisions based on that. It's going to be key. So thank you.
Thank you.
Might I add, I think Matt can probably express this better, but the amount of assets that we actually have in the town of Colonial Beach are significant. And he gave you a brief picture of that by that 27 miles that he mentioned of sewer main, of wastewater main. Now, keep in mind also that maintaining that asset is just one of many, and not the least of which is the equipment. And I want to assure Mr. Moncure that this program is also intended to cover every asset and to track the work being done and to pull the trigger when it's time to get it done. So I would like to reiterate that. And it is the software is fully capable. And these guys are working hard at pulling it all together.
Yeah,
Closer.
the GIS is the information collected with this geographical data points, but also Cityworks is an asset management tool. So that you can track, everything from maintenance records to replacement needs to work order requests from citizens, and then which pieces of infrastructure are integral to that work order and how it can be deployed based on timeline. If something's already being used, then it's out on another job. So what can get done in the meantime? Anyway, it's all of that is part of this smart city and using GIS with Cityworks integration. Yeah, I think that's good to keep clarifying that and keep it at the forefront, especially as we discuss such a major piece of it.
Correct.
Okay, thank you so much, Matt. All right, next up is citizen input. I have Walter. And I do keep citizen input to 3 minutes, Walter. I love you, but Heather will let me know when the 3 minutes is up. All right.
I'm gonna give a history lesson. Back in 1954, Hurricane Hazel hit Colonial Beach. It flooded Wilkinson's parking lot, and it destroyed with Bannock's Creek. It took out, washed out 205, the roadway coming into Colonial Beach. 50 feet of roadway And back on the boardwalk, we had huge willow trees. And that storm took out all the willow trees on the boardwalk. And at the next council meeting, I will give another history lesson concerning lighthouses.
Thank you. Going forward.
And that's the conclusion of my history lesson for tonight.
Thank you, Nathan.
Karen Grizzovich?
I'd like to start off by publicly thanking Heather for all of her ongoing support. I'd also like to thank Karen Sullivan for being at our meeting last evening. I'd like to thank the rest of our commission members for undertaking this task for the town, and we'd like to thank the town council and the town for believing in us and this initiative. We're thrilled to see that this is happening here in Colonial Beach for the community. Having worked for and having had many collaborative partnerships over the past 20 years with the City of Richmond Parks and Recreation, I've seen many directors come and go, programs change, and the scope and goals of directives altered. I completely realize that Colonial Beach is not Richmond. We're our own unique community with a much smaller population and budget. That is why for the past few years, groups like Colonial Beach Outfitters, BAM, the Colonial Beach Foundation, CBYA, and other groups have been working to kind of fill this void here in Colonial Beach. We feel like in order to create a long-term sustainable Parks and Recs department here in Colonial Beach, collaborative partnerships are going to be key and that collaborations with people involving people with a variety of skill sets are really going to make the difference. That is kind of why we feel like adding and increasing our commission numbers is extremely important. The things we are tasked with in section 2-133 are very important and crucial for creating a sustainable model from the beginning. We want this directive to be a long-term initiative and for it to be done right the first time. Each commission member and the ones that we would like to add will enhance this process and our goals. Their experience and their varied skill sets are extremely important in providing support for whoever is hired to fill this role in regard to being the director of Colonial Beach Parks and Recs Department. That's why we would like to, again, it's kind of like the seed is being planted and we know we have a lot to do and a lot of growing to do, but we want to do it right the first time. And we want the person who is put in the role to head this, to have the support system that they need to utilize and make it the best it can be for Colonial Beach. Thank you.
Thank you. Right at 3 minutes. Okay. Ms. Miller?
Paige Williams, 1535 Irving Avenue. This is very short, brief, so I guess I'll need the 3 minutes. The Parks and Recreation Committee just had its first meeting with 3 out of 5 people in attendance. I do not agree with the committee already discussing amending their ordinance. They already have 5 seats as it stands, with 1 vacant slot to be filled. What, I ask, is the urgency to amend this resolution. I would like to remind town council that there were lengthy discussions on the number of members for the original committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else for citizen input? Nobody? Okay. Next up is old business. Ms. Lane? Get some grant updates.
All right, good evening, council. I'm just going to give you a quick update on some current grants that we're working on and some upcoming grant opportunities. So we have 6 current open grants. The first is, of course, the Living Shoreline from the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation. We finally submitted our first reimbursement request. Lisa and I did that last week. We also submitted the permit to the MRC on January 5th and are waiting to hear back regarding that. Hopefully, Rob and I will be able to get together and put out the RFP to bid in the next few weeks. And then we're aiming to start construction in late May, early June. And I will also be submitting a extension request to the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation just because the grant is supposed to be closing at the end of May. Another one is the DCJS, which is a grant I'm working on with the police department. It is a COVID-related grant, so we're using the money to buy laptops and mounts so they can be used in the cars, and then also a digital fingerprinting system, so we won't be using the old-fashioned ink and paper anymore. And I've been working a lot with Sergeant, I believe he's now Sergeant Moore, trying to get quotes and everything, so hopefully we'll be able to place the order within the next week, because we had to do a budget adjustment, which took some time. The next 3 are all from Virginia Tourism Commission, which I'm working on with Susan French. The first is the Wanderlove that I've talked about before. We've been posting itineraries and blog posts on the Visit CBVA website and all of our social media. I've produced 3 tours and videos that have been played over 45,000 times so far. And then we've been kind of taking a break with social media just because it's our off season, but we plan to begin posting more aggressively as we get closer to the summer season. The next one is the Marketing Leverage Grant, which majority of that fund is going to be to update the Visit CBVA website. And there's possibility of some of the leftover money going to update our town website as well. Another expense from that grant was we were featured in the January and February issue of Virginia Living magazine, advertising the Northern Neck and Colonial Beach as a wedding destination. And then the third part of that grant is going to be a COBE campaign. So it's COBE, Colonial Beach campaign that the Dodson Group is working on with us. And that will be all over social media coming soon. The last one is the Love Works reimbursement program. So we are going to be updating the golf cart and giving it just a little facelift for the new summer season. And this is up to $1,500. I've started ordering all the art supplies and everything, and I'm working with several NGOs to help spread the work and get everybody involved. And there's also a contest going on that I posted on our town Facebook about for a design for the license plate. So anybody in town. You don't have to be artistic. You can just jot down some ideas and submit it and send it to my email. And you could possibly have your design on our very iconic Love Golf Cart. And then the last open grant that we have is the Green Streets grant. We finally got the engineer design and met yesterday to do some changes to that. So hopefully I'll be able to submit the final report within the next couple of days, so we can close that one out. And then for upcoming grant opportunities, I'm working on the next round of funding for the Green Street grant, which is due tomorrow at 4 p.m. So I'm going to be working on that a lot right now. It's up to 100,000. There's no match required, and it's for the first street to put in a sidewalk and some green street. So it's trees,
Stormwater management.
stormwater management.
Putting in the sidewalk with stormwater management and umbrella is how we get the money on First Street for kids.
So they want the project to be completed within 1 year, and they will announce the awards in June. So hopefully we'll get that and get started maybe July. Another possible grant is the Industrial Revitalization Fund. And that's funding for large-scale derelict structures no longer suited for their original purpose. And it's a grant or a loan up to $600,000. The only thing is it is a 1-for-1 match, but a eligible match can be land acquisition. So if we want to go after that, we could buy property and put that up as our match. And that's due July 31st. And then another one that I actually just found is a Restoration and Resilience COVID Recovery Fund. The application's due April 1st, and award notification will be made on May 15th. And they want projects completed within 6 months. And you can request up to $2,500 with no match required. And so they basically want projects, like maintenance projects that restore or enhance parks, public land that has been impacted by COVID-19. So I was thinking the community center, since we're using that so much, I volunteered there Saturday, and because of the rain, it was just so muddy. So maybe doing some improvements there. And that's what that fund could be used for. And then I've also attended a webinar from the Virginia Department of Health, and they have a number of funding opportunities for small water and wastewater projects. And I'm waiting on input from Rob and other public works staff on possibly going after some of that money. Any questions?
No? I wanted to announce we did get the grant for the green, for the trees on Colonial Avenue and the shade trees on the boardwalk. And, I don't know, I guess I just sent that to you, Rob, I think yesterday. And then also I just today got an email for, a foundation for Keep Communities Flowing grant. This is a grant up to $20,000 to support things that are at the core focus of American water, which means anything related to water and the environment, water and healthy living, environmental education, and community sustainability. And Mr. John Fidler would like to sponsor us for that grant application. So I'll forward that to you next.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, audit update. Let's liven it up a little bit. I feel like we're sitting down. Yeah. Yeah, with the audit update, that'll be really lively.
That's gonna be real exciting, yes.
Woo-hoo!
Okay, so the auditors have been working on the information that we sent them remotely these last couple of weeks. They will be on site next week, the 9th through the 12th. We're expecting that once they have completed their field work, that we possibly have a draft in 2 weeks. And we'll know on the 12th whether we're still on target to get a final report by March 31st. So that's my little brief update. We will know more next week. So I'll be able to give you another update on the 17th of where we're going to stand on getting the final. Then the other update, your revenue and expenditures. Mr. Dugan and Ms. Schick, we met on Friday and we went over the first one I gave you 2 weeks ago. Robin and Mr. Dugan had given us some input, things they wanted to be looked at. I have gone through there. We now have an updated report as of today that I gave to you. Myself and my staff have done a lot of work this week on catching up some of those items Robin and me had discussed. So if you have any questions, you take it some time to look it over, let me know and we can schedule some time to talk and discuss it. We are looking okay. We're looking good. One thing I do want to point out, if you're looking at the general fund, just keep in mind that our real estate doesn't come in until June. So if you're looking at like, oh, we're at a loss right now, that's a big chunk of our revenue. So don't let that number scare you at the end.
I'm not scared.
We're doing really well. If you look at the revenue, you can see.
Yeah, actually.
I just want to point out, we did a lot of cuts to revenue in our whole budget last year because of COVID. And if you start looking at those revenue line items, what we budgeted and what we're actually getting, the projections are so much better. So we are looking at possibly being able to move some money into the budget by April, maybe to use for the last 2 months. So yeah, so take a look at that. If you have any questions, let's set up a time to discuss or talk about it. And I'm open to whenever y'all are ready.
And would you just reiterate town decal status?
Okay, so we will start selling town decals next week. It looks like we spoke to the company we ordered them from, and there's been a little bit of a delay, so we probably will not have them until Tuesday. But we are going to post at the time that the finance department will be open to the public to come and get their decals. Just keep in mind that it's just the finance office that is opening to the public. So you'll be able to come get your decals, pay your bills in person. We'll have limited hours on each, but we try to have at least 4 days a week will be open. You'll be required to have your temperature taken, and you have to wear a mask. And any other departments, you would still have to make an appointment to see. But it's all going to be published on our website, our Facebook page, and in the newspaper with your rates and the information that you need to get your decals for vehicles, registered trailers, all that.
Yeah, dog cars, mopeds,
Yes.
yeah.
Anything that you can drive that has a motor.
I think I have to buy like 7 stickers, and I'm not even kidding.
I think it was.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Robin.
Oh, yeah, I think so. I'm pretty sure.
We are excited to have the public coming in and getting this done, because last year it was very limited. We were allowed to be open. And I know a lot of people were having difficulty getting their decals, but so hopefully this year we will have a lot of them in there and a lot more happy people that are able to come in there, and it'll be good to see everybody.
Can we get this on the radio station too?
Oh, yeah, good idea. We'll get it.
Yes,
Get
yes.
that out to the
I will make sure it gets on the radio station.
And send it, do we do a phone thing too and send that out?
code red.
The code, yeah.
Yes, we are going to do a code red.
Okay,
Mhm.
I thought you said that.
Because each week we have the gentleman who did our park attendance during the summer. He has agreed to come in to do, take the temperatures and get people's contact information in case we have an outbreak that we have to report to people. So
He has limited hours, so that's why each week he has different days that he is already obligated. So we'll be sending those information out weekly on when the dates and times will be open.
We pretty much nailed it down.
I think we have the whole,
At
yeah.
Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, from 9 to 4.
And one day we're gonna stay open still till 4:30, right?
Full day on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
I was just thinking about the sign as you come into town to turn toward the beach.
Oh, that's a good one, too, yeah.
It's a good idea.
Other people look at that.
Yeah.
I have, we found our nice, electronic signs. Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah, that we, I met somebody trying to come in today when I was leaving town hall. And I had to explain that she could not go in and get them today, but that information would be coming, so this is great. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, thank you. All right, parking meter update. Another lively, exciting topic. Everybody's on the edge of their seat.
Well, the parking meters are in. We are getting 13 new parking meters. At the same time, and just so everyone knows, we are switching the way, the ability to pay by plate. So versus the old required purchase a ticket and you hang it in your window. There, you will still be able to get a ticket from the 13 machines, but there will be signage throughout in the areas where the parking is restricted. And I think Heather's pulling up a map we're trying to, but in the areas where it is parking, there it is.
Did Matt's GIS help with us?
Yes, and I think she has the capability to zoom in on the areas. And downtown. Uh-oh. But anyway, it's going to be paid by plate. So you will be able to have a scan code at the signs where you scan in and you are able to pay from your vehicle, and it registers to the system, that the enforcement system, and we'll actually track and we'll be able to generate tickets. It'll tell you if how much time is left. We are currently in the final phases of getting the slabs in. We've been through winter and we've had crazy weather, but projected to start doing the concrete slabs for the parking meters tomorrow, actually. It looks like the weather might hold for us. So as you see, they're scattered. There are going to be 2 at Wilder Lot, which we know as of right now, that is one of the big areas that we tend to have some congestion. There will also be 2 at Castlewood, where there tends to be congestion waiting for it. Then the further ones downtown are along Colonial Avenue, and then right at the intersection of Hawthorne. Now, keep in mind, this is not necessarily the only places where there's going to be parking, paid parking, but they will be designated by the signage also. And we'll be able to be checked by the plates at that.
And we're organizing a meeting with some community members and business members in that district, so that we have some input in that. Yeah.
Yes, and we are looking and talking with the company now as far as options, programming options that we have readily available to us. So versus a long-term wait for programming an area in or out of the zones. So there are discussions going on now and clarifications as far as final programming.
And we're talking 60 days to program,
Pardon me?
2 months still to program. Is that what we have?
No, actually, this one's a little better than the last one.
Oh, okay.
So you're looking at a couple of weeks,
Oh,
all right, is what I've been told. I would hope that some are able to be pre-programmed, and that's what we're checking into now. Our capabilities internally of whether we'll be able to pre-program, without sending it back through all the pieces. So, over the next couple of weeks, we'll have some of those answers, and we should have that meeting that you're talking about with some of the business owners so that they're aware of how things are going to work and we can work with them. We want to be able to see annual payments in some areas. Also, as we have currently, the police department is looking at town stickers. We're making sure that we can upload the plates as we take into the system so that it has a 1-year free parking there. So that those are the final details that are being worked out in that area to make sure that the upload is relatively easy as they're taking in data at finance. So we'll upload the tag data of it in relation to that decal.
We are getting really smart, sophisticated. Tag, data, radar, isn't that like a radar gun that they do the enforcement with?
It is like a
Sort of.
sort of like
Right?
that.
Yeah.
It's like a digital
It's like, yeah,
RF scanner, I don't know.
yeah, it's
Okay.
pretty neat.
Like a tag reader?
Pretty much.
Scans.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any other questions on parking meters?
I was just wondering if Lisa could remind us the benefits of getting our parking sticker.
Sure. And it's required.
It's required. It's required, but it's got a carrot that goes
But
along with
you also
it.
get free parking in
Exactly,
relation to that.
exactly. And is there still an option for people to purchase a sticker if they do not have their vehicle registered in town? It
Yes.
used to be.
If you own
Yes.
property,
You have to own real estate in the town. So if you own real estate in the town, but your vehicles are registered in other jurisdictions, you can still purchase a decal to put on your car. And again, we would put those tag numbers into this new system, and you would be able to get your parking anywhere for free all year. So, yes, we do have a different sticker available for real estate owners who don't house their vehicles here.
but it is specific to your car, so you can't go
Right.
give it to some.
Right, and especially with this new system where we're gonna be actually putting those tag numbers into our parking system, it's gonna be important that we have the vehicle you're gonna be using, the one getting that sticker.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Nope. All right, chapter 23, amendment proposal, economic incentives, Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Great, well, thank you all for the opportunity to be here tonight, and I'm excited to update you on what the Economic Development Committee's been doing. So first up, next slide. I met with the mayor back in February, and we reviewed our current chapter 23, and both agreed that it's probably woefully out of date and needs some attention. And part of, you may remember from my last presentation, I indicated that one of the things that the Economic Development Committee would be working on is putting together an incentive plan that we could use to both promote the growth of existing businesses in town, but even more importantly, promote new businesses coming into town. So the timeliness of getting this done and being charged with leading this effort, I really appreciate. So thank you. So I was asked to raise this with the Economic Development Committee. And so we've been working on this over the last few weeks. There's still more work to do, which I'll get to in a minute. But basically the purpose of this code, I kind of drafted this myself, so it's a work in progress, so you can agree or disagree. But to enhance the business environment and promote a vibrant local economy, the town of Colonial Beach offers access to a variety of economic development incentives. New businesses and/or existing businesses may be eligible for incentives to offset local meals and lodging taxes, business license taxes, building permit and connection fees, and property taxes with the goal of attracting new businesses and expanding or improving existing businesses. So I kind of see that as the mission at hand for updating this code. All right, next slide. So the status. So we have reviewed, it's been circulated to the Economic Development Committee. We actually meet next Tuesday. So I've gotten some feedback, which is what I sent to all of you yesterday. So you should have everything in yellow are preliminary comments that I got from the team, but it's all been remote. We haven't talked about it voice to voice because we haven't met since Robin, you and I met. So this is a preliminary feedback. I put it into this document that you all have. We will be devoting a fair amount of time at our March 9th meeting, so next Tuesday, to exactly this topic. So I expect that we'll have more changes and additions and suggestions for you going forward. We have been looking at the town of Whiteville as a potential model. They have a very nice economic incentive program plan that's been circulated to everybody, and we're looking at that as a potential model. It follows some of the same things as ours, but it's a little bit more sophisticated and takes things to the next level. I've also, since I sent this to you yesterday, have gotten my hands on what Fredericksburg does for their economic incentive. And that may be a little grandiose for us, but it actually has got a lot of really good detail in it, the way that they approach the different zones and the different incentives that they use. So that's just been circulated to the committee as well. So we'll start looking at that and trying to incorporate more of these ideas into it on next Tuesday when we meet. So some of the key highlights that were obvious to us were expansion of the definitions of what's an eligible business. Some of the language that was in here, I think it's fairly dated, doesn't really take into account what the current environment in Colonial Beach is. So we need to definitely update what kind of businesses would be eligible for these incentives to match the current environment. Also, the bar for eligibility was pretty high, given the reality of people, especially existing businesses, expanding with 5 new employees may be unrealistic, and it really isn't an incentive if you can't achieve the goal. So we made some recommendations on potentially lowering that bar for eligibility. Also, really simplifying and streamlining the application process, because right now I don't think anybody really even knows exactly what it is. I don't know when the last time somebody applied for incentives here in town. So I think kind of drafting what this administrative process is going to be and making it simple and easy to understand, straightforward for people to fill it out. And also for the internal staff to execute and monitor to make sure that businesses actually are meeting those requirements. We also need to let people know about it. And part of what we're doing with this Economic Development Committee is actually trying to use this as part of a package that we will put together to entice businesses to come and consider setting up in Colonial Beach. So I think this is a key element of what it is that we need to be looking at going forward to lead with something like this, so that businesses understand why Colonial Beach is a business-friendly environment and why they should consider setting up shop here. We also are coordinating with the Downtown Colonial Beach group to potentially include grant opportunities. I have noticed in reviewing other towns' incentive packages that there are sections specifically embedded in there that have to do with the town helping to facilitate grant opportunities. So Maggie, maybe this is one of the things that we could look at. Downtown Colonial Beach is certainly looking at this. So I'm coordinating with Joyce Reimer, and I think this is something the town could look at, including in our incentive package, is access to some potential grant dollars as well. And then if it's, maybe this is too ambitious, but I'd like to try to get our comments back to the council after our meeting within a week or so. So maybe in March or one of the April working meetings a month from now, you could look at it, and then we could maybe at the April full council meeting look at adopting this if it's at a status that's ready to go. Okay. So those are some of the key highlights. Now, if I could just take another minute, if it's okay, because I heard what Councilwoman Sullivan said about the Chamber of Commerce update. I was not actually prepared to do that, but I did jot down some notes, so I can give you a quick update on the chamber, some of the key activities that are going there. And then Karen, I think you and I can coordinate going forward, just to make sure that I provide you what you need for these meetings. So one of the things that we talked about at the last chamber meeting is the schedule of events for basically the major town events going on for 2021. The plan is to kick things off with the Potomac River Festival this year, God willing that we're in a situation with COVID that we're allowed to do that, and then proceed going forward from there with the usual events. There's also talk of adding a boat show as an annual event here in town, and there's people that actually want to organize and bring that to the town here down on Town Hill. So that might be a new one that we will add to the list. The second update would be on the guidebook, the annual guidebook that we put out. That's in its final stages. It's all been laid out now, and it's just about ready to go to the printer. So that will be imminent, that will be going out. Several thousand copies will be available. We have about the same number of members as we did last year. We lost a few, but we gained a few. So all in all, it's about the same number of 100-ish or so businesses that are part of that guidebook. And then finally, the board coming into town right by Public Works across from the nursing home that has those placards on it. The chamber actually owns that, and so that's being completely revamped and updated. It'll be much more colorful, easy to see, and we're going to be reaching out to organizations throughout Colonial Beach to conform to a placard size. So we'll have a lot more organizations represented on that board as you're coming into town. So those are three of the, I think, key things that we talked about at the last Chamber of Commerce meeting. Let's see. The other thing that I'll just mention briefly, because I know there's a number of people working on this, is update to Wi-Fi and broadband here in Colonial Beach. And I think there's a number of groups that have been kind of working on that. Eric's been working on it with the chamber, with the foundation, and we met and talked about that. I've been working on it personally as well, and I think there's other groups. So one of the things that I think have agreed, and Eric is going to let me kind of take the lead on reaching out to some jurisdictions to see what they've done to offer and implement town-wide Wi-Fi, so that visitors coming here could have access to Wi-Fi on the beach and throughout the town, potentially free of charge. So I'm investigating that personally and looking into that. I also met with Jerry Davis from the Northern Neck. He's the executive director for the Northern Neck Planning Group, and that $8 million grant that they've got another $10 million that it looks like they're going to get too, that's for Wi-Fi in underserved areas. And we may have a good potential to capture some of that funding to drive these efforts here in Colonial Beach. The reason that I took this on is because one thing that we don't have here in town is commercial grade Wi-Fi that would support some of the business expansion that we're trying to do. If we were to attract a company like some of the ones around the Dahlgren base there to come to Colonial Beach, we need to have a better Wi-Fi solution than currently exists. So we're speaking with the commercial teams at Atlantic Broadband and with Verizon and with the group that is working with the Northern Neck to understand what our options are for that. One of the things I think we have going for us is I met with Sarah Walker over at the school, and I don't think I didn't realize certainly that we have fiber optic cable run to the school that's got the level that we would need to be business friendly. And so we may be able to tap into that some way as well. So she's given me the representative from Verizon that we could potentially talk to about expanding that. So that's one of the other things that we've been working on with the Economic Development Committee. Okay, so that I think concludes everything, probably more than you wanted, but thank you.
I have a couple of things.
Sure.
Rob, you want to let them know that the fiber optic goes all the way to the boardwalk?
Yeah, the fiber optic is actually, it was town installed. It goes all the way to the boardwalk, comes from the high school, goes all the way down.
Excellent.
And to the school board building.
Okay.
And Old Town Hall.
Excellent. And and is that done through a commercial group or just through Verizon? I mean, or
we own those lines.
okay. Excellent. Well, and if that's something that we're amenable for the town, making that available, this is one of the things that we would want to put into this package for prospective businesses, is to be able to say that we can offer commercial grade, broadband for businesses that would be compatible with their needs. So if that's something that we could look at potentially being able to tap into, that would be great.
Sure. And other beaches I've been to that have done that, they have brought in a business entity that then advertises to you when you connect to the town Wi-Fi. So that there is, and then it's free to the citizen, free to the municipality, and the business that puts it all together has some advertising involved in order to, have some profit for them for their time and effort.
Great.
But
We
I've
have
seen that.
we might have some capabilities with the parking meters too.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
So we can dig into that. Maybe we can talk
Yeah,
about that.
Rob, maybe we can meet to talk about this a little bit further, but that's great. And I think this just kind of demonstrates the need for us all to be kind of over communicating as much as we can. So at our last economic development committee, we had Karen there, as our liaison, but we also had Joyce Reimer there, and we also had Vicki Luna there as well. So we're really trying to, make sure that we're coordinating all of our activities and efforts here, so we're not duplicating, and presenting different messages as we're talking to people.
Yeah, definitely get with Rob on that.
Will do.
Initiative, because we may be further along than you think.
Thank you.
Just to follow up on it, also on the marketing part of how important it is to not just rewrite the code, but then to advertise it. I just want to plug a little bit that we are also in the enterprise zone. And so there are advantages in that. We are now have the historic tax credit district, which is going to be implemented in the downtown region. And then we have also what's called a revolving loan fund. For the downtown district, this is part of the revitalization grant that we got with Jerry Davis several years ago, and they administer this. And a business in that district can apply for, I think, up to $10,000, if I'm not mistaken. And it's at almost a zero interest kind of loan. And you do pay the loan back over time, because then that helps refund the funds that gives it to other businesses. So there are a couple other incentive programs there, but I look forward to a grant initiative as well.
Great.
All right. Any other questions about?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Budget timeline. Moving on. A resolution 12-21. All right, budget timeline. Lisa, you want to introduce this?
Okay, this resolution sets our timeline to produce a budget. We do have deadlines, according to the Code of Virginia, that have to be met. And just so we have already been working on some of this, so you'll see February 16th, February 22nd through 26th, we've already gotten some work done. Today is the day we presented the timeline in the resolution. So you see March 10th, we're ready with the department heads, and then by April 1st, because we don't have a joint session before April 1st, and there's no way we have anything by March 17th, I had spoken to Vivian regarding this. We can put it any way, shape, and I think email would be the best way, because it has to be presented to the town council by April 1st. So we will have that out to you hopefully before April 1st in an electronic version, so then you can start reviewing it and come back with any questions. And then we will present a little presentation on it on the 14th, and then May 5th. We are going to have our public hearing during that work session, and then hopefully we will have it all ready by May 19th to go to a final, vote and have it already approved at that point. The last day here on the 19th, of course, is a little bit flexible if we're still in talks and discussions on different items. We do have to have a budget passed by June 3rd.
Isn't our regular meeting the 21st in April? The third Wednesday?
Yes. Can I get that date from?
I have it as the 21st.
I'm sorry. Yes, we got to amend that date, I'm sorry. You sure got those other dates? Okay. Sorry about that.
Yeah, we can amend it now. We'll do it right now. Yeah. Is there a motion to amend resolution 12-21 FY 2022 budget timeline?
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, is there a motion to pass the resolution as amended?
Motion to approve as presented. Amended, sorry.
I've got it, second. So Sullivan?
Aye.
Avery?
Aye.
Powell?
Aye.
Budget season is here. This meeting gets more and more exciting. Okay, draft resolution 13-21, authorization to execute lease agreement.
Madam Mayor,
Yes,
that, I believe that should be authorization to execute USDA loan application. And, down in the third paragraph, where it says it gives the authority to the town manager and mayor of the town of Colonial Beach, do you want that to be changed to or? That was a suggestion by USDA.
for it to be or and or, yeah, sure, just change it to or.
No.
The USDA deadline is when?
The USDA deadline is not so much a deadline. What we're looking at here is that we have the ability at this time, and for this fiscal year only, to capture a 15% grant for the full value of the loan. That would typically, and will revert back, there just happened to be some dollars available for that this year. That amounts to a significant amount of money, where as of June 30th, it'll revert back to the $25,000 cap. So that's worth consideration. Also, the current rate is at 2.125%. Very low rate. And I believe that the bond market went up this week already. So that should be kept in mind that the 2.125 will be available at least to the 30th of this month.
Okay. So this says draft resolution, so is this, why don't you walk us into the issues and then give us a timeline on exactly what you're recommending and why.
Now, the manufacturers of the jet truck that we are looking at and across the industry say the useful life should be at 10 to 12 years. 10 with excellent service and then 12 years, not 25. So yes, you can baby things along and they deteriorate past that. There was a motor failure. Yes, there was. And it was the main drive motor of the engine of this vehicle. The engine was an non-DEF, for those of you that may be familiar with the terminology, DEF is used on diesel motors and of late. And it significantly adds to the life expectancy of a vehicle. This motor was not. Whether there may have been instances, but either way, at 10 years, this motor did lock up. And at the point that we're at the end of nearing the end of the useful life of this piece of equipment, and keeping in mind that they go up every year, we replaced the motor for a cost of approximately $30,000, which brought the value of the piece of equipment back up to $90,000. My suggestion is since the rest of the components on this piece of equipment, including transmission, your drivetrain, your PTO, your power takeoff, your steering, your suspension, your vacuum system, which is vacuum system is a very expensive component of this piece of equipment, and your pony motor, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, are all at that 10-year point. We patched it up. Yes, we can get a significant amount back in trade-in or sale. And I have gotten the figures at $90,000. So we can take a chance and keep this thing for another 5 years, at which time the cost of a jet truck will have gone up again. Now, this first one was $286,000.
Yeah, we probably paid down, but with loan, 265. What we find it.
So this has gone up significantly in 10 years. And there have been advances, but just about everything out there has gone up in 10 years. So with this, I'm thinking with this loan at the rate that we can get, and knowing that this is a piece of equipment that we need to utilize every day, and knowing that we also have a staff in place that, like I said, is concentrating on maintaining the equipment, and maintaining it will also mean factory maintenance too, besides just changing a quart of oil or 10 quarts of oil. So that is, I've been assured by the current staff that they are dedicated to that. So with that said, can we baby one along? And 6 months down the road?
When this truck goes out, what do we do?
Rent one, $4,000 a week.
Are we renting one right now?
We are renting one right now, unless we use this as a down payment.
So there's normally, rural development will give $25,000 cap for a purchase like this, but right now, because it's 15%, we're talking about almost $50,000 in a grant for the purchase of these vehicles.
Yes.
Does that sound right?
We would get $67,000.
$67,000.
And I'm not saying we have to buy the truck now. This is just giving authorization to apply. To apply. We'll obviously need to discuss it. And if you get it approved, yes.
Yeah, they have to apply with USDA.
And they will put this at the top of the list.
Are we looking to refinance other things with them as well?
It's something that that's one of the reasons that we've got to cover the debt schedule, and I know I've given it to Cal, that we should look at some of those, especially now that the interest rates are down. Yeah, I think we need to set some time to look at those, and I know Davenport has already reached out to me to want to discuss any opportunities that they have for us, refinancing, or even the securing, loans for other purposes. So, and we have been already addressed by a couple of companies that we've used in the past. But yes, I think it's time for us to look at it, especially with the interest rates down, some of these that have some, significantly higher interest rates. See if we have any refinancing opportunities that we can do to lower. We have done in the past. Last time, I think it was a couple of years ago, well, actually probably 3 or 4 years ago, we did refinance 2 different bonds at a lower interest rate. I think it's definitely time to look at those again.
Yeah,
So we should set some time up to look at those.
yeah, looking at the.
And I did send the debt service out to all council members so they can look at those and then kind of make some decisions that what we want to look at, and maybe who we can reach out to talk about any refinancing opportunities they have for us.
We would also suggest that this loan, if we do proceed, if we, and do to accept the grant portion, that we should limit the term of the loan to certainly no more than 10 years, and I would hope that we can make the 8 years, so that it's paid off well before the end of its useful life.
Yeah, that was a concern I had, was that this was financed for 15 years.
Yeah.
Yes,
It
it
has
was.
an estimated useful life of 12,
Yeah.
so why would we pay for something that's going to break for 3 more years? Yeah. Sure, it's not.
What are we talking about in terms of total cost for this? I've heard 500,000, I've heard 700,000. Realistically, what are we looking at?
$449,000.
Say again?
$449,000 and some change. And, but now keep in mind that we will get 90,000 back.
And then, Rob, are you deducting the grant from that, you coming up with that number too?
I'm
Sorry,
sorry.
the 449, then we get a grant for?
It would actually be
67,000?
$382,179 finance.
Well, what about the,
Minus the 90. We could pay back the 90 after. we
okay, so what is the number 3?
382,179.
And then you minus the 90 out of that, which is the resale of the existing truck.
Yeah,
Do we still owe on the existing truck that has to be paid off
Yes.
at that
Yes,
time?
ma'am.
yes, and we should pay that off.
So how much is that?
118,000.
Yeah, it's 118,000 that we still owe on this jet truck that really has no useful life left.
And the positive part of the refinance in that sense is that we are paying a 4.95% interest rate.
Correct.
And we will be
Yes.
reducing the interest rate, which will well pay for the difference. It's gonna make a big difference.
So should we use what we sell, the income that we sell should be used to pay off the old loan, and we should finance?
We can do
what
Yes, we can do that.
The
We
new
can do
loan,
that.
the new.
And then we have to
Yeah,
cover
if we
this.
sell the old one, we can always put those funds toward the principal part of that loan, yes.
Okay, so total, once we do that, is 292,179.
Oh, I know.
292,179.
But we still have.
You can't take the 90 off of this
Right.
one, the new one,
Oh,
and the
okay,
old
the
one.
118, yeah.
The 382 basically stays what it
Right.
is, because you're looking, trying to figure
Right,
out
because you're
the
just trying to get
118.
another one off. Yeah.
The 90 goes towards the 118 that's still owed. We would have to put the 118
Out first, so we get the title to sell it.
to get the title.
And I would just like to point out, this resolution is just asking you guys to give us the
That's
permission
correct.
to
We don't
apply
have to approve.
for this. We don't even know if we can get, if we're gonna get approved by USDA, so, but we have to take that first step. And then if we do end up getting approved, you can still say no. Not to purchase.
We still have basically 28K, if we sell this for 90, we still have 28K that we owe on the loan. And then the 382 would be the loan amount that we get.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
And that loan, she's made it very clear, if you can pay it off earlier if you so desire, with no penalty.
And currently, we spend almost $2,000 paying for the 10-year-old truck per month, because we still have 5 more years on, and it costs $4,000 a week to rent one. So we pay $2,000 a month to own one.
I assume if we authorize the application this evening, that we will still need to approve the loan, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
you would.
You have to authorize expenditure, yes.
Mhm.
Because I do have some questions, but I'll follow up and.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, if I may just share, we also at our firm are working and work regularly with localities, with Davenport typically, in structuring, well, all sorts of funding transactions, but also refunding. So if that's something that you're looking at, you could potentially also, even if you want to move forward with the purchase, you could include that as a part of another refunding, a bigger transaction to combine some of your other debt and refund and restructure your debt portfolio. I just share that as you think through this whole transaction, because that's something that we do regularly. The point being, if you decide to move forward, you could incorporate that with other things.
Right.
It could be with USDA or not, but you could still accomplish what you're trying to accomplish. Lots of options.
Well, I think Lisa already is planning on engaging on debt consolidation and refinance options. Yeah.
Question for council, so what are we doing to comply with the Procurement Act?
Well, this application, as I understand it, is just to explore one financing opportunity. The Procurement Act would come into play at the time of actually purchasing the equipment, and that would, as you had suggested, of course, apply. It applies to every purchase. It's just that the small purchases are on the bottom line, so they don't really require much attention. But and as you go up in price, the requirements for the Virginia Public Procurement Act increase as to what you have to do. So
This is with Virginia Sheriffs. It was on contract with the Virginia Sheriffs Association.
so that's under cooperative
Cooperative
procurement.
purchase agreement.
It's
Yes,
cooperative
but it
procurement.
still would require council action to actually make the purchase because of the cost of the equipment.
So there are a couple of cooperative procurement scenarios that are typical. I mean, there are tons out there, but you have cooperative procurement associations at federal and at the state level. You'll hear people talk about the state contract. So that's another option. You can buy off of the state contract without doing more because the competitive process has already been engaged in at the state level. Another cooperative procurement scenario that you'll see oftentimes is that other localities, oftentimes it's bigger localities who have lots of staff and lots of expertise and lots of people who are very versed in procurement. They will go through the effort of submitting the RFP and going through that whole exercise, and then they'll write their contracts such that other localities can use them. So that's another scenario that you'll see. And then I mentioned briefly federal. There's at least one, if not other, federal programs as well that you can use. Schools oftentimes use that, but they're out there as well. So you've met all of the procurement criteria because it has been done, but it has been done by someone else who has lots of staff and lots of people and lots of resources to be able to really thoroughly go through this exercise, and they've done the bidding and whatnot for you.
I can tell you right now that when we purchased Indus software, our new accounting software, we did use another contract. They'd already done all the things. We were able to use that contract for our procurement.
Right, we piggyback off that.
Yes.
Yeah. Is there further discussion on this resolution?
So are we looking at this, is there a motion to amend the resolution? The changes that you made
To change the word and or?
and the title? What did you say the title should be?
Authorization to execute USDA loan application.
So I would make a motion to amend the resolution.
Do I have a second?
Second. Second.
Yes.
Yes.
You go, aye. Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Alright. Unanimous. Okay, and then to a vote for the resolution to authorize to execute the USDA loan application. Loan application. Make sure that's clear. Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Ms. Sullivan?
Aye.
Mr. Gates?
Aye.
Mr. Duggan?
Aye.
Ms. Run here?
Aye.
And, all right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, resolution 1421, amends and appropriates FY 2021 budget for the Columbia Beach Volunteer Fire Department grant.
The Columbia Beach Volunteer Fire Department applied for a grant and they were awarded $700 for them to purchase some equipment. And so we are, their funds, when they apply for grants, have to come through the town. We receive the money and we have to forward it over to the fire department. So this is what the resolution is. We're just bringing the $700 into our budget so we can cut a check to the fire department for their grant award.
Okay. Do I have a motion? Motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion on this? Oh, congratulations to the fire department. Sorry it took us so long to get you your money.
Do we need to vote?
Huh?
Do we need to vote?
Yes.
Aye.
Oh, sorry. I guess I did make a assumption. I mean, who would withhold $700 from the fire department? But I guess I'm sorry.
You were so excited.
Yeah.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
I definitely vote aye. I apologize. Okay, discussion, classic stores build out. Kathleen? Do you want to introduce anything, discuss it? We had a meeting.
I wasn't prepared to say, but I, we
Okay,
summarize, or touch on what we met with, Mr. Whitman and, I'm not sure the other fellow's name, they were with the John Group. I think. Mike, you were there.
Yes, the John Group.
Robin, yeah, and,
okay, I'll go with it. So the issue being that large sections of town remain undevelopable because of the lack of infrastructure such as sewer lines, water lines, power lines, and roads in the Number Street area. And there was an initiative to work on what are the steps to tackle this problem a couple of years ago in 2019. And now that that is getting kind of revitalized, that initiative again. And so we met last week about that, and we have a lot of property interest in the area by property owners and by developers to move forward with this. So we are looking at tackling the steps necessary to put into place maybe the code that needs to be put into place before, you know, the words that have to be in place in order for the fees to be put in place, in order for the development to be put in place. So this is a long goal. This is not something that's going to happen tomorrow. But that conversation has been initiated again, and we are working with a partnership with the Planning Commission, and there's a citizen on the committee, and I guess it's not a committee, it's just a working group right now. But we are looking for proposals and ways forward, and we will be engaging with our attorney also on development with that, which I think, have you already been looking into this? Vivian, did you? I'm sorry, I forgot your coworker's name?
Sean,
Sean. Is this something you were gonna engage with Sean about?
yes, but we were gonna talk first after your meeting.
All right, we'll
Yeah.
talk first. Okay, so I just wanted to put on the agenda that that meeting had happened and that we were discussing the infrastructure of that and also prioritizing what to look at, what's the scope of this, what are the steps to start with.
Do we know how many buildable lots are involved?
There are,
And private, they have priority.
yeah, I think that there are 30 buildable lots on 9th Street, 50 buildable lots on 8th, 50 on 10th, and 50 on 11th. So that would be, what, 180? And that is the area that the scope that has been identified thus far. Rather than going all the way to 15th Street, I think just infilling in the existing area first is the scope of that project. At this point. Starting with 9th probably because there's a road already. Okay. All right. Is there a motion to go into closed meeting? Is there anything else? Yeah. Mr. Rogers?
Do we want to consider the three motions separately?
Yes, because also, the third motion, is not necessary at this point, is that correct, Vivian?
I would leave it since you have it on deck, it's not really, there's not much, but just enough.
So that you can update us?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, all right, we'll leave it on now. Sure. All right, motion to go into closed meeting pursuant to 22.3711A1 for discussion of prospective candidates for appointment on vacancy on council. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Is there discussion?
Same reasons that I articulated in January. I think this is the kind of decision that should be made in open session. And as a result, I will vote against going into closed session.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Ms. Sullivan?
Aye.
Mr. Gabriel?
Aye.
Mr. Duggan? Mr. Reinhardt?
No.
Ms. Robinson?
Aye.
Okay, chair votes aye. All right, next up, do I have a motion to go into closed session for 2.2-3711A6 and A8 for consultation with legal counsel employed for the discussion of public funds for competition or bargaining is involved regarding real estate acquisition to meet established goals. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Aye.
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 Aye as well. And lastly, do I have a motion to go into closed session pursuant to code, Virginia Code 2.2-3711A for consultation with legal counsel employed regarding specific matters requiring legal advice from counsel for development and real estate agreement contract analysis.
Second.
All right.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
And, all right, everybody else can take a break. We'll take a 2-minute recess, let everybody go to the bathroom and then we'll.